The jungle did not kill him, and that truth still feels impossible to accept. For 12 long years, the world believed he had vanished forever, erased by trees so thick they swallowed sunlight and sound. There was no grave, no body, no final message. Only unanswered questions and a silence that stretched on year after year, hiding a living human heartbeat deep inside the wild. At first, the stories sounded like myths. Villagers spoke of strange footprints near rivers where no tribe lived, of fires burning in places untouched by humans, of tools shaped by hands that should not have existed anymore. Most people laughed it off. The jungle was known for legends, and believing a man was still alive after so long felt more frightening than believing he was dead. 12 years earlier, everything had seemed simple. A journey into the jungle, carefully planned, mapped, and timed. Confidence was high, equipment was modern, and danger felt manageable. The jungle was treated like a subject to be studied, not a force to be respected. That mistake would cost everything. The storm arrived without mercy. Rain fell so hard it erased the sky. Rivers swelled into monsters, and paths dissolved into mud and chaos. Communication failed. Shouts vanished into the wind. In the confusion, one body was torn away by water and branches, lungs burning, skin ripped open, strength fading fast. When the river finally released him, the jungle closed around him like a door slamming shut. The silence afterward was worse than the storm. There were no voices, no footsteps, no sign of another human being. Insects screamed from every direction, and towering trees blocked every escape. The truth crept in slowly, then struck all at once. He was alone, unarmed, and completely lost. Nightfall brought terror that words could barely describe. The jungle did not sleep. Eyes reflected in the darkness. Sounds moved closer, then vanished, then returned somewhere else. Sleep came in broken moments, interrupted by panic and the constant fear that something would drag him away before morning. Hunger arrived faster than expected. The body weakened, legs trembled, and thoughts slowed. Every leaf became a possible poison, every stream a hidden threat. There was no guide, no instruction, only instinct and desperation. Each decision carried the weight of life or death. The first days were filled with mistakes. Eating the wrong plants brought sickness. Drinking unsafe water caused pain and fever. Insects bit relentlessly, leaving wounds that burned and swelled. Hallucinations came with the heat, voices whispering his name from deep within the trees. Reality blurred and hope thinned. That was the moment many would have surrendered. Lying down and letting the jungle decide the end would have been easy. But something deep inside refused to stop fighting. It was not bravery, but stubbornness, a raw refusal to disappear without a trace. Learning began through observation and suffering. He watched animals closely, noting which fruits birds ate and which waters monkeys trusted. Fire became an obsession. After countless failed attempts and blistered hands, a small flame finally appeared. It shook and flickered, but it meant warmth, protection, and the first true sense of control. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Time lost its meaning. Survival became the only measure of existence. The jungle never grew kinder. Predators passed close enough to feel their presence. Snakes lay hidden beneath leaves. One careless movement could end everything. Slowly, fear transformed into awareness. Shelter improved over time. A raised platform kept him off the ground. A roof of leaves blocked rain. Comfort was never achieved, but safety improved. Scars covered his body, each one a lesson paid for with pain. Hunger remained constant, but it became manageable. Loneliness became the heaviest burden. The silence pressed down until it felt physical. The need to hear another human voice grew stronger than hunger. Talking to trees began as a joke, then became routine. Animals that returned were given names. The mind searched desperately for connection to stay sane. Seasons passed, marked by rainfall and changing rivers. The jungle shifted, and so did he. Muscles adapted. Movements became quiet and precise. His eyes learned to read signs invisible to others. Survival stopped feeling forced and began to feel natural. Then came the injury that nearly ended everything. A deep wound from a hidden trap became infected. Fever followed, worse than any before. His body shook uncontrollably, strength vanished, and movement became crawling. Death no longer felt dramatic. It felt close, quiet, and tired. In that weakness, memories flooded his mind. Faces, laughter, a life that once existed beyond endless green walls. The thought that no one would ever know what happened here hurt more than the wound. It wasn't death that terrified him most, but being forgotten. Recovery came slowly, painfully. And with it came a shift in purpose. Surviving was no longer enough. There had to be a way out, even if it took years. Exploration expanded. Trees were marked, paths memorized. Rivers followed further than before. Failure no longer meant despair. It meant learning. Years passed. Hair grew wild. Skin hardened. He no longer looked like the person who entered the jungle. The wild was no longer just an enemy or a shelter. It was both. A force that shaped him into something unfamiliar to the outside world. Then, one morning, everything changed. Smoke rose in the distance, where it should not have existed. Not natural, not accidental, but controlled. Human. His heart raced as fear and hope collided. Caution slowed every step. From a distance, shapes moved. Tools reflected light. Voices echoed through the trees like memories from another life. Approaching took hours. Every movement felt unreal. When the figures finally noticed him, hands reached for weapons. Voices shouted in alarm. A shape emerged from the jungle that barely resembled a man anymore. Silence followed, thick and heavy. Recognition came slowly. Shock turned into disbelief, then into awe. 12 years lost. 12 years survived. Standing alive before them. Returning to civilization was harder than expected. Noise felt violent. Walls felt suffocating. Food overwhelmed the senses. Mirrors reflected a stranger. Sleep brought dreams of rain, insects, and endless darkness. The jungle had not stayed behind. It lived on inside him. The world demanded answers. Stories spread. Headlines were written. But no words could truly explain what 12 years of survival did to a human soul.